When students are designing survey questionnaires as part of their research project, they often are not sure about what are the different kind of response categories. Having different kind of response categories will allow you to obtain the information that you need. Sometimes it also helps you to get answers to sensitive questions. As if getting your questions as precise and non-problematic as possible wasn't enough, a good survey and good survey data is equally dependent on the response categories you decide to use. And there are a lot of things to consider here. For one thing, response categories will influence the data you collect. For example, if you add an I am not sure option to a controversial yes or no question, it will affect your findings. Secondly, different types of response categories generate data with different types of measurement scale. And data with different measurement scales demand quite distinct statistical treatment. In fact, understanding the difference between nominal, ordinal, interval, and ratio data will definitely facilitate the process of survey construction, particularly determining response categories. But until you actually have some data to play with, understanding the relationship between data types and survey construction is quite abstract. In today's video, let me take you through the different response categories that you can include in designing your first survey questionnaire. Now, conducting your first survey is a challenge. So again, I will recommend you going for a good pilot study. Not only will a pilot study allow you to assess your questions and response categories from the perspective of your respondents, it will also allow you to generate a mini data set that you can enter into a database and work with statistically. This really is the best way to see how your data collection protocols, including response category determination, will impact on your analysis. However, the first kind of a response category that you can have in your survey is open responses, where respondents are asked to provide answers using their own words. They can offer any information or express any opinion they wish, although the amount of space provided for an answer will generally limit the response. The data provided can be rich and candid, but can also be difficult to code and analyze. The next kind is a closed response, where respondents are asked to choose from a range of predetermined responses. The data here is generally easy to code and statistically analyze. Closed response categories again come in many forms, each with their associated issues. While it can be easy to work with binomial data or data with two potential responses, you need to consider whether respondents will be comfortable with only two choices. For example, a respondent might think, does only 2 or 3 times a year count for helping children with homework? Or do you think children in first grade should be given homework? Is that agree or disagree question? A potential strategy will also be to offer a don't know or a no opinion option, because this allows for a lot of choice or some kind of a fence sitting. But it also comes down to what kind of options you want to provide your respondents. The third kind of response category is fill in the blanks. Even a simple question like how much do you weigh, assuming your respondents know the answer and are willing to tell you, can lead to messy data. Alright, so because the respondents may sometimes write 90 kilograms or 198 pounds or 14 stone. Now of course you can convert these answers to one metric system, but that isn't going to be possible if they just put 90 and don't tell you about the unit. Choosing from a list. There is an assumption here that people will be able to answer it without any issues. However, you need to consider what if people choose more than one option and those options don't overlap. So that is one choice or one decision you have to make when you are providing multiple options to your survey respondents. Then we have ordering options. Ordering options is where you start ranking the choices according to how the respondents think. These questions tend to be quite difficult for respondents, particularly if lists are long. It's worth remembering that if respondents get frustrated trying to answer, they are trying to leave the question blank, leave it half finished, or just write anything at all. Finally, you have the Likert type scaling. Likert scales often or offer a range of responses, generally ranging from something like strongly disagree to strongly agree. In Likert scaling, you need to consider the number of points you will use, whether you will force a side by using an even number of responses, and whether you think the respondents are likely to get on a roll and keep circling a particular number. Some researchers do shy away from using the neutral option here. However, when I did my research, I used a Likert scale and I kept the neutral option as well. It comes down to what is your decision as a researcher and what kind of response you want from your respondents. So guys, these were the different options and the issues with each of these options when you're using them in your survey questionnaire. I hope you found this video educative, and if you have any comments to make, please use the comment section to do so. The whole idea of having videos like this is to learn from one another, being fellow researchers, because one researcher cannot know everything. This is just my limited knowledge being presented to you in a simple and easy manner. Thank you for watching the video and thank you for supporting the channel. I'll see you soon with my next video. Bye for now.